Alright, folks. Good morning to anyone who's watching. It is about 10 a.m. Sunday morning here in Australia. Slightly earlier than I would prefer to wake up. It's the day after the first session of All Things Under Heaven, which is now up on YouTube and on VODs. And there is some prep that I need to do, as there will usually be. And so I think I'm just gonna stream myself doing it. Maybe there will be people who are watching. Maybe there will not. I don't really think it matters much because I'm gonna have to do this prep either way. So let's talk about like what went well and what didn't. On the plus side, tech was great. I figured out how to enable Twitch to hear other people's audio, which was a nice improvement. So that's now a thing that happens. Yeah, I feel like the session went quite well. It was an introduction, so it was always going to be kind of a little bit busy and overloaded. Not overloaded, but there was always going to be a lot of world establishing stuff and world building stuff because most of these players are not familiar with the setting or with the house rules, or in some cases with 5th edition or Dungeons and Dragons at all. So I think like given that it all went well. Energy levels were a little low, but that's, I mean, what can you do? Jem had been out partying the night before. Lisk is a very sleepy person. We'll work on it. And then, yeah, in terms of other stuff that was going on, like what can I say? What was there? So there's a long-term issue I've been having for a long time with my prep for this game, which is the fact that the I Ching is really cool, really interesting. I have learned a lot doing this game about its history and its divinatory uses, both in a contemporary sense and in a historical one. I'm a fucking anthropologist, so I'm a huge nerd for this kind of stuff. The I Ching, on the other hand, is not very gameable out of the box. I know over on Court of Swords with roleplay, Adam Coble's using tarot cards, which have a lot more like straightforward, discrete meanings attached to them in ways that I think is a lot more like immediately like obvious in terms of its gameability. Whereas like going all the way back to like August of last year when the Meat Space version of this campaign started, like I'm looking up I Ching on the internet in the middle of the session. I'm having to scroll through page after page of commentary and find bits that are game relevant. There's also some huge issues just with like the use of overly gendered language in a lot of the I Ching, which the translations are all a product of their time. It's fine, but this is a campaign where diversity and representation is a fairly major theme, so I'm not super cool with that either. And then the question becomes like, alright, so great, here's some bits of the hexagram, associations that are relevant to an adventuring party, but also then finding mechanics. It takes a long time. Anyone who was watching yesterday will have seen me stumble and hesitate as I was kind of desperately in the moment trying to process from hexagram to game relevant reading to gameable mechanics, which was less than ideal. I started a while back. I did sit down and I started going through the I Ching using a number of online sources and just pulling bits that were relevant, but even that document's not great. There was a lot of text, not all of it was always relevant. Still wasn't really gameable, it was just slightly more usable. So last night I started going through and gamifying, mechanizing the I Ching and turning it into something that will hopefully be much, much easier and more natural for me to use and play to cut down on those hesitations, which would be awesome. The other thing that I am going to need that became... Was it obvious yesterday that I realized yesterday? Is that given that the PCs have expressed an interest in they've created this curiosity shop. Clearly, they have an interest in it, right? I'm gonna need a list of free floating magic items and artifacts for the setting. There is currently like a master list document, which actually I might see if I can show you now. Bear with me for just one moment. Yeah, there we go. So if we scroll up, here's Artifacts of the Wastes. We've got, like an account of the dire corruption of the celestial sparking, like an ancient painting. We've got a weapon. We've got a flute. We've got a magic sword. We've got a ritual space. We got some more items. We got a location. We got some more items. We're all over the shop. We're all over the shop in here, which is fine. Like, I'm really cool with that. There's also a bunch, a couple more of them, like, scattered throughout the specific, region documents. And that's all great. And most of these are tied specifically already to locations. What's going to be really helpful, I think, is, having just like a list of really minor ones that people can find at the curiosity shop, or they can just be thrown into random generation treasure tables in place of. Basically, in this setting, give me a moment. I'm gonna tweet out about the fact that we're live, and I'm gonna get back to that thought. Bear with me, anyone who is watching either live or from the future on YouTube or by VOD. Okay, I'm not sure what just happened there. Bear with me for just a moment. I think I might know what is wrong here. Let's scale that resolution down. I think I'm demanding too much of my webcam. And that is why my laptop is mad at me. Twitch.tv/games from the Wildwood. The first GM turn. This GM prep session for all things under heaven. Alright, good. There we go. Alright. I'm going to poke around with that camera just a little more. and see if that helps, because of course it is not my face that matters here. It is your capacity to see what I'm typing and hear my voice in real time without too much bullshit. Alright, there we go. So, what was that? Yeah, so like, this is a setting where magic wants to feel unknowable and wild and mysterious. This is to evoke Sanderson's first law of magic, which I think is not an absolute. All binaries are by the nature of bullshit. I'm an anthropologist, but Brandon Sanderson basically argues that like magic in fantasy novels and literature exists on like a spectrum from like plot relevant magic, which demands rules that are understood by the audience so that they can then be cleverly exploited and used in a strategic manner to overcome obstacles. OBS seems to be being a bit weird this morning. I'm not sure what's up with that. I hope we're still fine. But yeah, so on the on the one end there is this like plot heavy, plot relevant form of magic, and then on the other is like is Tolkienian magic, right? Which is kind of inexplicable and wondrous and all about adding a sense of myth and wonderment, right? And necessarily all role-playing games skew towards the rule-based end. As soon as you have a spell list in a monster player's handbook, as soon as you have spell descriptions, you're in that end. You also, because you necessarily imply a system, right? Like, your spells have levels, and there's different categories of components they can require, and there's different damage types, and there's all these things that, like, because we need to mechanize them for a game, they imply in a setting that magic is organized according to certain principles, which means you have magic that is a plot device rather than a tool for inspiring wonder. And particularly on the GM side, like, my ambition with this campaign is to push back against that quite hard. That doesn't interest me. I'm really not into that kind of magic. It's been since August I've been playing this campaign, so it's like 7. It's been like 6 months that we've been playing this campaign, at least in Meatspace, and now I'm playing, running 2 groups. Probably I'm gonna put it by August, right? By the 1 year anniversary of the campaign, I don't think we're gonna be playing 5th edition anymore. At least in the home group. Online we might still be. I'm feeling like a hack coming on. And it probably will include magic, much more restricted magic, or at least much weirder magic being available to PCs. The point of which is, right, there are no generic magic items in the setting. There's no, like, +1 swords, there's no potions of climbing. Like, none of the players are ever going to find anything that cookie cutter and boring out in the world, right? Like, to give an example, which I feel is a fairly emblematic example, right? We got, where are we? The Flute of the Forge, right? A striking flute of black iron and red gold, seamlessly blended into an impossibly intricate pattern. Created by the ancient Zhang masters as a tool for their wars of acquisition, it is a bittersweet reminder of the impossible feats achieved by alchemists and smiths during the heights of the 9 Provinces period. Those who look upon it, particularly those with metalworking skill, just to fix grammar there, cannot help but feel a great sense of loss for all that has been forgotten. So on the one, I mean, like, items are unique, right? Every item is discrete. Every item has a history. Every item has a sense of being its own discrete, unique object. So the Flute of the Forge takes an active play. It starts out with 1 charge. Using it requires a DC 20 Constitution saving throw. On a success, the charge is expended. On a failure, the charge is not expended, and the power is instead drawn from the character's body heat. They lose 1d6 plus 1 hit dice and take 1d4 cold damage for each one they might be short. Like that's hardcore. I'm aware that that's hardcore. I wrote it. Like using magic items does not want to be a safe game, right? Like this is not that kind of setting. Magic is unpredictable. Magic is risky. And also, like, isn't it more interesting if the tactical consideration of like what spell to use is not just like, oh, does it do like 64 or 46 points of damage? Like, what's the better average damage? Is it a line or a cone or a burst? Like, if we add some like intangible risk that has to be grappled with to kind of like make tactical decisions, because I feel like there's more potential for character moments there, right? Like how heavily a character weighs that risk like tells us a lot about them as a person, and I find that interesting too. And so there's okay. So I talk a little bit about how to like restore charges to it. Okay, so when the flute is played, all metal within earshot, 100 feet, give or take, is repaired of all damage of any kind. That's what the flute does. It's not a spell. There's no specific hard and fast rules about it. There's none of that. All metal within earshot is repaired of all damage of any kind. This include like it would reverse rusting and corrosion. So if a rust monster's been fucking with them, who cares? They've been pouring acid on a door, doesn't matter anymore. Countering the spell heat metal, I put that specifically because like it absolutely would do that, right? Like you heated metal, like too fucking bad. Repairing broken doors, restoring, like it would instantly restore a construct, like back up to full, like no questions asked. Fixing broken metal equipment, which like honestly, this thing's a magic item. It's got fairly reasonable cost to like they want to fix a broken magical weapon with it, like fucking go, fine, it just does it. It happens. There's no like, oh, except for magic items at +2. Nah, fuck that. So that's the kind of magic items that like populate this setting. Like each one wants to add to the character's like story and become part of their history, as well as being just something that like sits on their character sheet and happens sometimes. And so I need a list. I want a list of like minor cool, weird, quirky magic items that I can both use if anyone gets like a nat 20 or something in in the curiosity shop, or that I can use when a random counter table, like a random treasure table, like when it generates, when it's like a potion of climbing, I can just be like, well, swap that out for something slightly more interesting. I'm having some slight weirdness with OBS. I'm just going to very, very quickly go on break and poke around and see if I can fix that for you. Hang tight. Yeah, okay, so I am not sure what on earth is going on with OBS. It keeps disconnecting and then reconnecting. I'm going to do some tech support at a later date, but I mean, fuck it for now. I think we're just going to push on. Yeah, so yeah, I want a table of minor artifacts, and I want to fucking fix this I Ching thing. Those are like the big. Those are going to be, I think, like the big GM prep projects. And then obviously, right, like if the players go and they wipe out the rat demons in the Neuron Fens, right, like obviously I'm gonna have to update the region stuff, fiddle with some random encounter tables like that. That also will have to be done. But like the everyday maintenance of the setting aside, I think the big projects are gonna be get these two things together, get them fixed. And for anyone who might be wondering, the resource I'm using to help inspire these magic items is oh god, what's his name? Jeremy Strandberg. I'll drop it in the description box of the YouTube. He's working on a Dungeon World hack called Stone Top, which is like fucking incredible. It's like Dungeon World, but through the lens of like Joseph Delaney's like the Spook's Apprentice books, or like Taran Wanderer, and like the lowest fantasy portions of like the Chronicles of Prydain by what's his name, Lloyd Alexander. Yeah, so like that is a really cool game project. You should go check it out. But yeah, he's got a very extensive set of tables for generating like cool magic item inspiration, which I use because they're awesome. But yeah, I think let's just leap right into it. Let's work on some I Ching stuff. So I'm just gonna change what you're all looking at. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. That's not what I want to change. I Ching, there we go. Okay, so like the rules for this may have been like a little bit opaque yesterday, but as like just for the benefit of you, my lovely viewers. Basically, when the characters visit a diviner, we randomly generate an I Ching hexagram for every character, and also for the group now. And then based upon that hexagram and kind of recent events surrounding the character, flaws, successes, plans, whatever, basically we present like a specific context, a situation, a mode of behavior, or whatever, where the I Ching is either saying, you know, go towards like this action is fortuitous, or don't fucking do this. And then we associate a handful of skills or saving throws with it. And so when the character uses that skill or saving throw in that context or situation, or while behaving that way, they get advantage on the roll. You know, if there's conflict over whether it applies, we turn it over to the rest of the group. I'm not a particularly hierarchical DM. Yeah, so if we look at an example here, right? Like let's scroll down. Yeah, right. Hexagram 1, strong force, heaven over heaven. And then I've got a list of keywords, which helps me to like spin and riff content if I need to, because obviously, like we got four characters. I'm the fifth. We've got 4 characters. Yeah, we got 4 characters. Every session, pretty much, because at this point the plan, because of Josh's schedule, is that we're gonna go like a session, adventure per session, and always come back to the town. So like at the beginning of every session, we're gonna generate 5 hexagrams, right? Like 1 for each player, and then 1 for the group. Which, like by episode 10, the odds are we're gonna have a repeat. And because there's a couple of characters in setting who sorry. Alright, there we go, we're reconnected. Yeah, because there's a couple of like characters in setting who can do divination, right? There's Asun, the fortune teller in Nine Springs. Theoretically, if he wants to pursue it, there's George, prodigal son. which could be really cool, right? And then I can just fucking give him access to this document and he can do it, which would be very, very interesting and not something the other group's done, like, been anywhere near. There's, like, a couple of other fortune tellers in, like, nearby towns that are within kind of, like, a session's travel. And so, like, I don't want it just to be the exact same content every time a hexagram is drawn, right? Like, I want there to be room to improvise and riff and show the different styles and approaches of the various fortune tellers, etc., etc. So, keywords, right? To give me something to riff off. So, the strong force, right? Creative power, heaven and sovereignty, and, like, active, transforming, undivided energy. There's then a bit of commentary. Like most of the I Ching comes with, like, poetic commentary, like, and like commentary on the natural world that illustrates how this principle exists in the world, and also some advice. So I've copied that because that's all great stuff that can literally just be, like, read out. Boom, and it works. And then, and this is the bit that I really didn't have before, I've got pre-considered mechanics, right? Like, what are 3 mechanical representations? What are 3 of these modes of behavior with associated skills and saving throws? What are 3 of those that could come out of drawing this hexagram? And then I just look at them and I think about the character in question, and I just get to pick one, right? Which makes it so much quicker and so much easier. Right? So, like, yeah, that's what we've got, right? Like, we've got this is what all the hexagrams are going to look like. I did 5 of them last night, just to, like, get myself into the swing of it. And so I think we're just going to push on. It's not necessarily going to be it's not necessarily going to be the most, like, interactive or interesting thing for y'all, because I'm just going to be sitting here doing some hexagrams. But that is what GM prep looks like for the campaign right now, and so it is what it is. So like, I'll try and be and talk through what I'm thinking slightly more than I might otherwise. All right. So 2 is acquiescence, 3 is sprouting, 4 is youthful folly, 5 is waiting, and then hexagram 6. All right, I think let's just copy. Oh, yes, let's just do that. Let's get those aligned with the top of the page again. All right. So, right, that's all going to be replaced. This is all going to be replaced. These keywords all going to be replaced. This is hexagram 6, and it is what is it? It's a good question. Hexagram 6, heaven over water, which is cool. I'm just pulling up the site which I use for information, which you guys won't be able to see. So it was okay. So we've swapped, right? Hexagram 5 is water over heaven. Now hexagram 6 is heaven over water. Let's go. Hexagram 6. Alright, so hexagram 6 is variously called arguing, conflict, and lawsuit. I'm not a fan of lawsuit as a name. We're not gonna write that down. But conflict and or arguing. Yeah, interesting. Okay. All right, so this hex is about like the individual and society. Conflict. I think I'm gonna call it conflict. I think it's more than just arguing. Oh no, it is. Okay, it's so 6 arguing. There we go. All right, so keywords. I'm just gonna drag some stuff about kanji. Well, not kanji. The Hanzi used to record it. Left-hand character. Blah blah blah. So keywords. Fairness, impartiality. Openness, yeah, openness to public scrutiny. So that's one set of the keywords. Then we got, yeah, litigation, argument, demands for. Like demands for justice. Yeah. Accusation. Alright, so that's 2 of them. Here's the question, right? Like, where's the 3rd one? Alright, so okay, so authority. Authority, like distance, objectivity. Yeah, okay, I like that. That's good. Alright, so there's that. Commentary. What have we got? The individual and society. Justified for their values. I like this. This is actually like a really good, like gameable hexagram, right? Because this is all about like what keeps heroes in check. And in this instance, I think they stand in for society, right? Cool. Contention. Okay, yeah. Litigation. Contention. Assertiveness. There we go. So there's that. Let's make that probably Times New Roman. Let's make it actually black instead of gray or whatever bloody color it is right now. Alright, and so now let's copy that, chuck that in here under commentary. And then I'm just going to have a quick look through and see if there's any of like the specific commentary on the lines that might be good. Ooh, yeah, I like that. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's some expanded commentary on it that is also really good. Agreement for the sake of peace is not called for, but calm is required. speak without. No, actually, that's not so good. It was the other one that I really liked. Here we go. Very often battling, even when correct, is a waste of time. I want to take out like you pronouns whenever possible. Just something about the wording of them I don't like. Leave the place or mindset of conflict and tend to business. And tend, okay, here we can't really avoid it. And tend to your own business, your own heart is the wisest thing to do for everyone. Defer contention till there's actually something worthwhile to be won. Very good advice. Will a group of PCs take it? No. No, they will not. Never. Guarantee you. Right, so mechanics. What want to be our options here, right? So like we need three like fictional triggers, which are then accompanied by some skills. So I feel like there's like when you like when you fight, right? When you fight for your values, I think wants to be one of them. Like when you when you ignore a chance. When you pass up a conflict to tend to your own people. To tend to your people, your business, your people and business. Gain advantage on medicine. Cause like what other kind of business do we like here, right? Like on medicine checks. Because that's like tend to your people very literally, like medicine, persuasion, because I think that's what you'd use to comfort people. Medicine or persuasion to do so. When you fight for your values, when you fight for your values to keep someone's ego in check, gain advantage on intimidation and persuasion. That's not how you spell intimidation. Intimidation and persuasion checks. And then like what's a third one? This is always the question, and sometimes I have to go back and like flesh out more stuff, right? Like okay. When you defer contention until a more worthwhile time, gain advantage on not even contention, confrontation. Gain advantage on, like, let's say acrobatics, athletics, and stealth checks to withdraw, right? So like, okay, so this hexagram, right, is like conflict between the individual and society, necessary conflict, where like individual values and common ideals are in conflict, and through their conflict keep each other in check and make the world a better place. Because unchecked, both of those things lead to like ego and arrogance and falling from the way, right? And then there's also some talk here about, right, like not wasting time or energy on conflict conflict that is unnecessary, or that doesn't promise anything. Like keeping, as it were, in your own lane. Yeah, and so when you fight for your values, to keep someone's ego in check, to keep someone else in check, to keep someone in check. When you pass up a conflict to tend to your people and your business, or when you defer confrontation till a more worthwhile time. So boom, done. Hexagram 6. Alright, so hexagram 7. Let us see what there is to see. Alright, so hexagram 7, it seems, is leading. Which is cool. Yeah, this is very cool. I like this. I also feel like just like increasingly I'm really into the fact that like the overwhelming majority of these are verbs. And then the ones that aren't are kind of like are still kind of like they feel somewhere in that territory, right? Like youthful folly. Is there a good? Oh fuck, that's better. Fuck youthful folly. We're gonna call it discovering. Yeah. So the only one that doesn't get a good verb name is hexagram 1. Alright, so 7, which was leading, and leading is, what is it? It is, here we go, earth over water. Alright, so let's start with keywords. Here we go. Alright, so our keywords here are like setting an example, modeling, teaching, tutoring. Like modeling right, like modeling proper, yeah, modeling proper behavior, teaching, tutoring. Oh, god damn it. You wouldn't believe how hard it is to set OpenOffice. This might just be that I'm a Luddite, but how hard it is to set OpenOffice to, like, use Australian English. And yeah, if I seem to be spelling anything quote-unquote wrong, that's going to be what's happening there for you. Alright, so teaching, tutoring, that's good. I like that. Yeah, okay, yeah, so here we go. So then organizing, organizing, patterning, modeling, modeling after, modeling something. No, I don't like that. Patterning, specializing. And then, and then we have, right, like, an army, a group, a multitude. superiority in... Oh no, that'd be the first one. Tutoring superiority in rank. Alright, there's that. There's our keywords. Commentary time. So we begin with this, which again, I like. This is strong. So to find the best way to survive, look at the world and choose which plans are good, which fights are worthwhile. Yeah, that's good. In youth, create the circumstances for a strong individual life. In old age, defend your spiritual defend which fights worthwhile. Create the circumstance for a strong individual life. Defend the spiritual against all attacks. No, I don't like that. By this, no. Thus, create the circumstances for a strong individual life. Right, that's good. That's good. That's good. Only with abilities and resources great talents which have no rules, I love that, will get wasted. Boundaries are only defensible when abilities and resources are properly mustered. Yeah. Make clear rules to be a good leader. Talents, abilities, assets. Make clear rules to be a good leader. Organize your own abilities and resources as well as those of your forces. Have the courage to be worthy. Make clear rules to be a good leader. Have the courage to be worthy of trust. Organize. Yep. Okay, cool. That's at least a start. And then I'm going to look at the other hexagrams for this. The individual stuff. Alright, so, what are the mechanics for this one? Let me think. There's some obvious ones, right? Like, when you, when you pick your battles carefully, right? And judge, when you pick your battles and choose your plans carefully. Gain advantage on insight. What would it be? I mean, that's pick battles for sure, right? Like, choose your plans. Like, what's strategy? Like maybe history. Yeah, let's say like history, insight, and perception checks. When you act in when you fit in as part, when you do do your part in a plan, when you carry out your part in a plan at the proper moment, gain advantage on the first check to do so. For the last one, when you what? When you muster, when your abilities and resources are properly mustered. Oh, no, that's too vague. When you when you seek to defend a boundary you have drawn, gain advantage on initiative checks. Yeah, so like when you're in defense, you're strong, right? Which is totally fitting. Seek to defend. When you seek to defend your boundaries with resources properly mustered. With properly organized resources. Gain advantage on initiative checks. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so this one. All right, that is like the 10th time the last 5 minutes that OBS. Oh yeah. That's the last time OBS has just tried to stuff up, and it's been about an hour anyway. So I think I'm going to call this GM stream short here. I'm going to figure out what the hell is going on with OBS, hopefully in time for next week's session, because I'd rather not be dealing with this through a 4-hour session with 4 other people also being inconvenienced. So goodbye. If anyone has watched this, thank you very much. I'm going to be here every week that I can. Just streaming some stuff. I'm definitely going to keep working on the hexagrams through the week as well. Like, I don't want you guys to sit here forever watching me just fill out 64 hexagrams. But yeah, have a great day. Catch us next week on Friday, Friday night or afternoon US time for the actual game, and then again Saturday afternoon/night as it is now for the GM turn. Consider, if you want to have a look at more of my game design stuff, I've just finished drafting a story game called Across the Endless Sea, which is a collaborative exercise in telling the tale of a people journeying across in a surreal sea voyage across an impossible and wondrous sea. And so if you back me on Patreon, you can get playtester access to that. So yeah, have a wonderful day.